back, guys, to episode 34 of the Kinda Nice podcast. Today we got a special episode, special guest from the United Kingdom. His name is Rushie. You might, if you're into jump roping, you might know him as the jump rope coach. He's actually, I've been following him since I think 2018, 2019. He's if you guys ever see me jump roping with all like the cool tricks I do, I learned everything from this guy. He is probably like the greatest jump rope coach on YouTube. Say what's up, Rush.
You're too kind, man. Thank you, man. Yeah. What's happening, people? Appreciate you having me on today, man.
For sure, man. It's a pleasure. So I wanted to have Rush on because I think we haven't had first of all, we haven't really had anybody out of the US that's kind of an influencer and doing his thing and in a kind of in the athletic realm, like the kind of guest we like to get. But Rush is to kind of speak on what he's done. He's created a brand that is strict, like it's pretty much, he started with jump roping, but he's created a movement way bigger than that now. That's like a community of people that, you know, do fitness and are passionate about this one thing that connects them with it, which is like skipping rope or jump roping. If you're in the UK, because you guys say skip and rope, right? Or how do you?
We say skip. Yeah, we basically.
Skipping.
It's kind of mad because now a lot of people in London and England, like they use jump rope because of me, but yeah, we usually just say skipping. And I think it's like jump rope sounds much more cooler than it. Skipping just kind of sounds.
Skipping sounds a little lame. I won't lie to you.
yeah. I get it a lot, man.
But you made it cool. You've made it cool. So to give my story on how I found you is, and then I want to ask you kind of what you started, but so people know where I'm connected to you. So when I was kind of training hard for Ninja Warrior in 2019, 2018, I was doing a lot of cardio. And back in the day, I remember my dad's really fast. He's a pretty fast sprinter. And he told me that he kind of got fast through jumping rope. So I kind of looked up like jumping rope. I bought his jump rope, and it was kind of like a $10 jump rope from Academy. That's kind of like our fitness store here. And I kind of was just doing basic like jumping. And I was like, man, it got boring so fast. Because I like doing things a little extra. I like doing things that other people don't usually do, right? So that's when I Googled like just jump rope tricks or jump rope anything, and I found Rush's YouTube channel. It's called Rush Athletics, right?
That's the one, yeah. Rush Athletics TV.
Rush Athletics TV, and he has a bunch of crazy tutorials on how to do just basic tricks, but that'll really spice up your jump rope game. So learning these tricks, I started getting really good at jump roping, and now. Around like the ninja community too, like people know that I'm really good at jump roping, and they're like, yeah, that guy like is cold with it. And it took a solid couple months to get really good with it. But now that I like can jump rope and do these really cool tricks, it's one of my favorite ways to warm up, like absolutely, because it kind of gets me like a confidence boost. I haven't told this story like a lot, but before I run on Ninja Warrior, I run a little bit, of course, but I like to jump rope because of how like cool it feels, and you feel just like you're floating and you're kind of like in the vibe of things. You kind of have that
definitely.
What's it called? Like it's a confidence booster for me. I feel really cool and it feels good.
Definitely.
It gets my mind connected with my body in terms of timing. So jump roping is like before I've done any run on Ninja Warrior, I have jump roped because it's how I get like a confidence boost before the run, which is always good. But tell me your story about how did you even get into jump roping first and foremost?
Jeez.
Like why jump roping, right?
I mean, I got to say, man, I've seen your skills, by the way. Your skills are pretty sick. It's been a pleasure, like kind of chatting to you like over the last few years and sending you kind of a few ropes here and there. But it was good to actually see some of your skipping because I think you keep it a little bit low key sometimes, don't you? I don't know if I'm mistaken, but I got to see some of your skills. You got some good skills, man. Yeah, it's good to see, man. Like,
from you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and it's such a nice thing. We'll probably come on to it later, but it's nice to see when people are like flowing like that and moving like that, because that was literally my dream, man, my vision, like from back in the day, which was just to, like you said, man, add spice to this simple, really accessible, small, inexpensive thing. And I mean, my story, like this is my 7th year, man, into skipping really, or jumping rope. And I started in 2015 and it's been something that I'd done here and there as a kid, maybe. I think everyone's tried it, right? Everyone's tried to do a bit of skipping here and there. And I wasn't really big into boxing or anything like that. So it was never really something that was in my face growing up. But I was like well into football or soccer, as you guys call it. So as part of like football training, we'd have to do a lot of running. And it was something I used to hate doing. I used to hate doing the runs. I used to hate going on the treadmill. And I used to play quite a lot. So keeping kind of in shape, keeping my cardio levels good, like all that kind of side of fitness, I used to just find cardio so boring. I used to find all the kind of conventional sides of cardio boring. So in 2015, I just happened to be, I remember in my bedroom, and I was just, for some reason, there was like a Mayweather fight happening around the time. Like it could have been maybe the Maidana fight or one of those fights around 2015. And he was, you know, he has this kind of like training camp videos now and then pop up when there's a big fight coming up. And he was there skipping yellow rope, and it just completely blew my mind, man. Every time I tell this story, like I always get kind of like the hair standing on the back of my neck, man. It's pretty epic. Like if you've seen it, you know it. It's just, it was like a promo video that he was doing, and it was majestic, man. And I saw it and I thought to myself, man, I need to try this, man. I need to pick up a rope again, and I need to figure this out, man, to figure out how this guy's moving with the rope, what he's doing with it. And I just became obsessed, bro. Like it was one of these things, like I just tried to do every single day at some point, try and learn a crossover or like a little double under trick here. Like there's loads of moves here. Your listeners probably won't even understand, but like double under crossovers, all these kind of moves that he was pulling out, really simple, what looked simple for him anyway. I was there in the gym, man, every day. Like I was like slapping myself, killing myself. Like, I was like, this shit.
When you first start, you slap these shit out of yourself.
I was like, this shit is seriously hard. By the way, can we swear on this? I didn't ask you.
A little bit. I try to keep it like minimal, but I don't care too much. So if it slips in, then like whatever. No,
it's cool. That's cool. I'll keep it clean. But yeah, no, I realized, man, how difficult it was. So it just got my mind focused, man. At the time I was working as an accountant. I was in the office life job, and it was just something that kept my mind fresh, kept my focus levels good. Coming back to work, I used to obviously, you know, I never enjoyed what really I was doing, but it was something like, it felt like that was the path I was meant to be on, because coming from a traditional Indian background, like we all just go to university, go to work, try and get as much money as we can, you know, whatever it is, buy a house and blah, blah, blah. So I at the time I was just trying to get my kind of positive energy through football. So yeah, man, I picked up a rope. I got really addicted, and cut a long story short, at that point, I started to get better and better, and people at the gym just started to come and talk to me, ask me where I was learning this stuff. And I was telling them, listen, man, I'm just trying to learn it on the kind of whim here. Like I saw a Mayweather video.
So you're all self-taught? Like all the tutorials you teach, everything is self-taught?
Self-taught, bro, because at the time there was nothing really on YouTube when it comes to in-depth kind of tutorials. There was no real channels out there that were really teaching anything really completely like how I would like to learn it. And that actually brings me onto the point of how I even started YouTube, because I had so many people coming up and talking to me about it and saying like, oh dude, like you're looking really sick, like you're looking really cool. And, you know, when I look back at those videos, I just realized I wasn't actually that good, like as in compared to kind of levels I'm at now, like, you know, maybe to the naked eye, but like, I started thinking to myself, like, not many people understand skipping, like all the benefits that I was feeling, all the good things that happened to my body, my mind, my mental health, like my fitness, agility, acceleration, all this kind of good stuff that was now like kind of transcending onto like the football pitch and in my work life and in my personal life and everything. Like, I just thought there needs to be more on this topic, and there needs to be more content around this. And I that's when I created the first video, which was titled How to Jump Rope Like Mayweather Naturally. And it kind of went semi-viral. I say semi-viral, like it was quite a big video considering it was my first video. Yeah. And then I started creating content, man. I started creating content from that time.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great story. I think jumping rope is one of those things that, like, when you learn all the tricks that you teach, it becomes so much more fun. Because again, before I didn't really love it, and now that I know some of the tricks, like the crossovers and like the side to side stuff and all the little things that make it so interesting, it's literally like my favorite way to warm up. And one of the things is like, because in my gym, like, as you can imagine, like there's not a lot of normal athletes. It's a bunch of people who could do a lot of crazy things. So it's not like that crazy, the stuff that I'm doing. But if you take like the jump rope stuff to like a Lifetime or like some like conventional gym, like just the basic gyms where people go to, and you start doing that jump rope stuff, like, because I've done it a few times when I'm traveling, you go to like the hotel gym and I bring the jump rope. People look at you like you're like insane. Like, they're like, how is this guy doing this? Like, it's crazy. Like, it looks almost like a circus act. And it's honestly one of my favorite things to do.
It just definitely turns heads, man. And that was
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it definitely turns heads, man. Like, it's such a unique way to train, because you're not only obviously getting the good fitness benefits from it, like you get a mad sweat and everything else like that, but when you really get in the zone with skipping and jumping rope, like, and you're trying to learn new moves and new combos, you're literally rewiring your brain. Like, you're rewiring how it moves, how it reacts, how it sends all the signals to your body. And I think that's what people like who haven't got involved in it, that's probably the stuff that they won't really understand until they get involved, is that it puts you in this crazy focus, and before you know it, you've got all the workout stuff you need, you've got all the sweats and everything you need from it. But long term, the skills it gives you, like you mentioned before, timing, balance, and the control, you literally get so many good benefits from it that you probably couldn't get from something like a treadmill or like a cross trainer or something like that.
Yeah. No, it's very unique. And I think honestly, everybody should like. I have so many people discouraged because I love jumping rope and I work out with people and I kind of guide the workouts sometimes. And I love warming up like that. But all the guys I train with, for the most part, like even Daniel, the co-host of this podcast, he's not here because he's flying in today, actually back to Houston. He just got in, so he wasn't able to make it. But that guy can't jump rope. Like he can't even do double unders. But he's like one of like the best ninja athletes, right? And I was like, bro, you got to learn this. Like, it's just going to help you. Like, you're going to learn better coordination. Like, there's no way that it hurts you. But a lot of them, like, because it just seems so out of reach that they're like, I'm just going to run, or I'm just going to like row, or just do a basic exercise because they don't want to look stupid, or they don't want to like learn. Because there's a little learning curve. Like, at first you do look dumb and you keep slapping like yourself over and over again. But one thing that I noticed when I was learning rope is the first day, and I think this has a lot to do with how the brain works, but the first day that I was learning a new trick, I would not get it. Like I would suck. I'd get it a few times. I'd get like the movement down, but I wouldn't be consistently getting it. But after like a night's sleep, the next day I would hit it like a lot more and more. And it was during the time that you like afterwards that I'd put in those reps that my body would kind of learn it. And then the next day I'd be like, oh wow, I could do this really easily now. And that's honestly one of my favorite things in any sport, is putting in a lot of reps and then like seeing improvement the next, because you never really see improvement the day of training. It's like the next couple days afterwards that you realize like, oh, like, so for me, like I've been playing a lot of volleyball lately, putting in like reps on like volleyball touches, like when I'm training it, it feels like I'm not improving, but the next day I'm like, whoa, I'm like doing stuff that I wasn't able to do. And it's the same thing with skipping rope. Like I'm able to do stuff the next day that I wasn't able to do the day before because I'm putting in a lot of time and energy. And a lot of people nowadays want like that instant gratification of like, hey, I'm learning this and I want to be able to do it now and I want the benefits right now. And they're not willing to put in the time to get to the point where you can look super sick and put together a bunch of combos and rhythm and be in that zone, right? Because it does take a little bit of work to get there. It takes
a long time, man. And again, it just comes back to kind of like most things in life, right? Most things in life, exactly how you explain, like the time, the effort, the patience, the persistence, the dedication you put in it. That's what you're going to get out of whatever you're trying to get into. So that is another reason why I love it so much, man. And again, it's why I had to create more content around it, because anyone can really jump on a treadmill. You don't need a running coach to teach you how to run on a treadmill, or someone to teach you how to use a rowing machine, or, you know, things like that. Like, so with the skipping rope, what I realized, and like you mentioned before, like it's like muscle memory. You're building muscle memory, all the reps that you put in, all the time you put in, and it's really rewarding, man. And I think it really says a lot about your character. It kind of like tells you a lot about yourself, is that on the first day, the second day, it's not going to click. It's going to feel a little bit rubbish, really, to be honest with you, because
it's frustrating. Yeah, you feel frustrated,
especially if you're watching someone else and you've seen that level that you can potentially get to. Luckily for me, I mean, the only guy I was looking at the time was Mayweather, so he was the only person, and Mayweather's like a god anyway. So it's like I was just trying to think to myself, actually, you know what? Maybe he's just, because it's him. That's just the level. Only he can do it, kind of thing. But over time, then you start to realize, man, like if you can put this level of focus and dedication and persistence into something like skipping 15 minutes a day, 20 minutes, building the reps, building the muscle memory, then why are you going to quit at anything else in life? And that's what I actually really liked, man, because it kind of translated into other aspects of my life. And it kind of pushed me even more to try and create a brand around this and kind of trying to build a community around this, because nothing really felt impossible to achieve at the time.
Yeah. No, that's amazing. I want to get into a little bit more of your story with like, because you were an accountant, right? You had a full-time job. You had like this, and you quit your job after you realized that you could make this full-time. So you quit your stable job to follow a dream. You know, a lot of people are in that position to where they have a stable job that they might not like, and they're not really willing to take the risk because of, you know, certain reasons. Maybe they're afraid of just failing, or they have like financial obligations that won't allow them to do. But what was your story with that? With like, man, like I thought my life path for like the longest time, I was told that like I was going to go to uni and get a job as an accountant and be an accountant until I'm 50, 60, then retire, and then that's it. But then you realize like, oh man, I like this a lot more, and maybe it's risky, but I want to do it. So give me a little bit of that story of transitioning from that to what you're doing now.
So that we like the brand started in 2015 as such. When I say the brand, like that meant like an Instagram page, Facebook page, just creating content, YouTube. So nothing was really happening. Nothing was really being monetized, no income, anything. And that was the beauty of it, because I wasn't actually trying to do this to make money. Like I never even occurred to me to even try and make money from skipping or this, that, and the other. And so when I kind of coined the term, kind of like the jump rope coach, like I started to try and get people in my local area to try and do workout classes with me, training classes, one-to-one sessions. And people would laugh at me. My friends would laugh at me. They'll say, listen, man, like there's no one does skipping coaching. No one cares. No one wants to learn, kind of thing. It was all like banter between me and my friends. And I said, listen, man, this could take off, man. Like I could get people into this. It could become a thing. Like obviously personal training, weight training was like a norm for people, but skipping coach like was the most randomest thing. And the more I posted YouTube, the more I kind of went with the kind of local one-to-ones. I started to realize, man, I was building community behind the scenes. Like a lot of people were saying to me, bro, like, when are you going to bring out your own skipping rope? Like, are you going to bring out a Rush Athletic skipping rope? And I just thought to myself, you know what, like maybe this could be a thing. I'm not sure. And at the time I actually had a couple of hip operations because of football. So I had a few injuries from football around 2017. So I was 2 years into this channel now. It was going pretty well. I had a couple of 1,000, 3,000, 4,000 kind of subscribers. And I had these 2 hip operations, and it kind of gave me 3 months off work to kind of be at home and just kind of recuperate. And in those 3 months is when I started to kind of look for manufacturers, understand a little bit more about editing videos and brand and products and how to negotiate and all this kind of stuff. And within those 3 months, that's when we kind of brought out the first rope. So 2 years from building the channel was the first time I brought out a product, and the launch was like complete sellout. So from that moment on, the first kind of week of that first product going live, I was super nervous, and I thought to myself, like, this is just a kind of side hobby, like it'd be like maybe a little side hustle, a little bit of fun on the side. But then it started to be serious, literally from day one, because so many countries got involved in that first launch in 2017 when we released like the first speed rope, the money rope. And then during that year of 2017, like it just kept getting bigger and bigger. Like loads more people started to follow the channel, loads more people demanding new colors of ropes, different styles of ropes. I started bringing out different styles. I brought a heavy rope out. I brought a freestyle rope out. And coming up to about 2018 now in October, so I'm working still full time. I'm trying to do this hustle on this sort of the side. I was literally working 16-hour days. Like I was going to work, coming back. That would take about 8 to 9 hours. Then I was coming back and having to do the customer service and do the order packaging, do the branding, do the videos, do the editing. And it got too much, man. At the time, I was trying to balance the whole situation between the financial situation, like could this be a full-time thing, and whether or not it's going to be like have longevity. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just at the end of the day, at the time, I'm just thinking this is just a skipping brand. Like how far can you go with like a skipping rope brand? Because people come to buy a rope. Do they need to come back and buy another rope? Like, is that where it ends? Like, is that where the customer journey ends? Like, I'm still kind of understanding the whole entrepreneur side at this time. And I remember like, I just used to go to work every single day, and I used to just kind of like feel super, super tired. Like I couldn't function. All I kept thinking about was, you know, like my Instagram and getting back to people, getting back to messages, talking to suppliers whilst I was in the toilets. It was mental, man. I couldn't do anything. So it was just one of those things, man. I just thought to myself, I'm burning myself out at work. I can't function trying to do what I actually really enjoy, right. Like the passion.
That's like a dangerous place to be in too.
Yeah, because I wasn't really putting all my energy anywhere at the time as well. Yeah. So it was just one of those things, man. I kind of just thought to myself, look, I'm happy to take like an 80%, 70% pay cut if I can pay my bills, if I can live life. But I have free time. I'm happy. I'm doing something I super, super love. And I think, you know what it is, there's always turning points. There's always kind of things that trigger it. And every day you walk in, I'm thinking, is this the day I hand my notice in? Is this the day I resign? And it was just one of those things, man, like where every launch I would do at the time, it just got bigger and bigger. And I just thought to myself, you know what, the community I've built, I think it's just going to get bigger. I just felt like the whole like movement was going to go way beyond anything I imagined the first day. So I just thought like, look, let me just put my eggs in one basket and just go full time on it. So 2018 was when I kind of pulled the plug on the accountancy life. And so it's been like, 3 years now, 3 years full time doing YouTube and building this brand from kind of scratch.
Yeah. And you have no regrets, I assume?
No regrets, man. Honestly, like, and with COVID and all this kind of stuff and people coming and sharing their kind of stories of how like, you know, skipping pretty much saved them through COVID. They didn't miss the gym. especially in London, obviously where you guys in the US, you probably get decent weather, but here, like, it rains all the time. So people coming up to me and saying, you know, being quarantined at home, especially when the weather was bad, I could still get my workouts in. I could still kind of de-stress.
It's huge, man. It's huge.
It was huge, man. So like, there's no regrets, man. Honestly, the only thing I ever think about is why I didn't do it sooner. Like, why I didn't, like, I started this brand when I was touching 30 years old. And that's probably the only minor regret I have. But obviously, like, everything comes with a good, in good time. But I wish I probably could have started in my early 20s, you know?
Yeah, of course. I mean, yeah, but I mean, I think it happened for you at the right time. And one thing I want to touch on, this is a little off topic, but your ropes are actually really good quality. Like, because I've used so many different ropes throughout my life, and you're like, they function really well for what you teach and what you do. Because if I try to do tricks on other ropes, like, it doesn't really work as well sometimes. So I've grown to be like kind of spoiled, and like, if I'm not using like your ropes, I kind of just like to not jump rope for the most part.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, maybe because of your level where you're at now, but I think most beginners and maybe most of your listeners, if they're still kind of like interested in it, they're probably thinking, man, that skipping rope is a skipping rope, right? A jump rope is a jump rope, a speed rope is a speed rope. I get that question all the time, but once you become really good and understand the rope and how it feels and how it moves, like, you do understand there's differences in the PVC or the vinyl. So that's what I have to try and explain to people is, like, when they say, what's different about your rope? You know, like, isn't just a jump rope a jump rope? It's the same thing as just when you buy trainers, bro. Like, it's just like, why do you wear Nike? Why do you wear instead of, like, I don't know what the cheaper brands are over in the US, but like, it's the fact that you kind of understand there's a quality behind the brand, there's a history, there's a, you know, all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, because if I'm gonna buy like a jump rope, I'd rather buy it from some guy who's like super passionate about it and his life is all about jump roping. Like, I'm assuming the product he's gonna make is gonna be amazing versus like a company who's just like makes a ton of fitness equipment and just made a jump rope for fun.
Exactly.
And I think another part of this too, like, I learned all the stuff with your jump rope, so that's the tool I'm used to, right? Maybe I could have learned it on something else, but it's just the one that
potentially
yeah, there's other ropes I think too, like super speed ropes that are like just made to do double unders, but for the most part, like, I don't enjoy doing those because you can't really do tricks. But yeah, going back to on topic.
Super light as well,
yeah. So you're, I wanted to talk a little bit about the injury stuff, because I think that's something that because I watched a video yesterday and I was researching you a little bit, and I saw that did you have another operation later on down the line when you already had like the jump rope stuff, or no, on your hip?
So since I started skipping in 2015, I've had 3 kind of big operations, not related to skipping at all. They've been actually due to football. So like I said, I played a lot of football, and I had like a massive kind of like elbows, like basically like a ligament issue in my elbow. I took a bad fall. But the big injuries that I had during the time was my hip. So I've had a double hip operation on like the right side and the left side. Basically got no cartilage in my hip joint. So it's a bit crazy, but like, from playing so many years of football, and I had like kind of like a bone deformity, like it kind of like grinded away at the cartilage over the years. So I had to go for a couple of operations with that. And at that time, that was when I never actually had a product. I just had a library of content. I was doing the skipping thing and super close to quitting. Not gonna lie, it was very close, touch and go. To quit.
So that's where like I think a lot of people can draw inspiration from, is because I've had some really bad injuries too. Like my shoulder it's been like a year and it's still not back to 100%, and I've ruptured like a pulley tendon in my hand. And for a lot of injuries, anytime I talk to athletes or people that are just very active, injuries are always, for the most part, for those people that I talk to, they're always harder mentally than they are physically. Like the mental anguish that comes from not being able to do what you love, like not being able to play in your sport, to jump rope, to move around how you want to move around. And those things, I mean, like for a time when I hurt my shoulder, I couldn't even go on walks. That's how bad it was. Like it was a grade 3 AC separation. Damn. So it was, it was gnarly. So if I went for like a 10-minute walk, it would start to just hurt because my shoulder wasn't being held up anymore. I had to like do it with my muscles. So how did you, with those hip surgeries, like what kind of gets you through like, for anybody listening that might have like an injury like that they, it's hard mentally, or it might happen in the future and they can think back to this podcast, what would be your advice to getting through something like a big surgery or a big injury, or those times where you can't go to what you usually go to stay, mentally sane, like jumping rope or exercising, or you can't do what you love because of an injury, right?
Good. Yeah, it's a good point, man. Touch on, man. Like it's one of those things, man. Like someone like yourself, like super active, myself as well, super active, like sports, gym, like it can be mentally like crazy to go through something where now you can't do the things you love. Like you said, like I was told by the doctor that I wasn't even supposed to be on my feet for like the first month or two or something like that. I think I was 2 months like couch bound, bed bound, because I had to let the hip kind of heal itself, and all the stuff that they did with it. So I went from literally going super active, making videos, making content, doing all this skipping stuff, really loving it, football, to then just being lying on my couch. And the first few weeks, like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, man. It was pretty depressing. Like I kind of watched a lot of TV, didn't do much. Like I let my eating go. Like, and I think it's just one of the kind of advice I can give people, anyone listening, is like, just those natural things are going to happen. Like you can't fight it. Sometimes you need a bit of a crappy day. Like just sit there and just watch a box set or watch a movie and feel lazy because you can't do anything. You can't go out to the gym. You can't, there's no point coming back too soon because you're just going to give yourself long-term like issues. And that's one thing that I kind of stuck to, is like when I spoke to my physio every single week, he used to just say to me, listen, bro, like, he goes, Rush, like, I know you want to get back soon. I know you want to start doing your thing, but just think about it like this. Like if you push yourself too hard now in the early days, you're just long-term, you're messed up. Like you're going to go nowhere with it. So that always stuck in my head, is just like, listen, like it's a long-term game with injury. Like whether you're given like 2 weeks off or 2 months off, it's just stick to what they say to you, man, because, you know, we all think we're superhuman, but literally, like, there's no point coming back too soon and messing yourself up. The second thing was just hard to deal with it mentally, man. I was lucky because at the time I had this channel, and like I said, I was quite close to quitting because I'm 32 years old at this age now. When I had the hip surgeries, I'm on the couch. I was blessed in the fact that, like, I was still getting paid by work. I was able to sit on the couch. Some people might not even be able to like get paid if they get injured like that. Or if they're unable to do something that requires their body to work. So I kind of felt blessed in that situation. So kind of seeing the good side of things. But on top of that, man, like the blessing that I actually had was I had time on my hands for the first time in so many years, like where you're working your ass off. Like, and at that point I was thinking to myself, listen, man, like you've got all this time in a day now, you're sitting around, like, what can you do to kind of like elevate your game? What can you do to improve? What can you do to like become a little bit more proficient in something? So that's when I touched on it before. That's when I started to learn a little bit more about video editing and talking to suppliers. And that was the first time I started getting ideas about building or creating skipping ropes and building a brand, talking to clothing, apparel suppliers and all this kind of stuff. So like advice wise, it sounds cliche as hell, man, but how can you manage, or how can you make use of your time even better? I would say it's like,
so what you just said,
what
you're saying is very interesting to me, because I'm reading a book that kind of touches on these subjects. And I think like the question I would ask you is first of all, like, I think that the great advice you're giving is like perspective, right? Like you were able to take perspective of like not playing like the victim game and being like, oh man, like this sucks. Like this is so bad. But I think the super interesting thing here that my brain is going to is, and I could be wrong, but do you think there's a world that if you had not had this problem, right, this kind of, we'll call it like a trauma in life, like if your hip being messed up, where this had not happened and you were perfectly healthy, you might still be doing your accounting job and you would have never had that time to kind of learn all the things you needed to transition to the next section of your life?
Trust me, you just took the words out of my mouth. I was just literally, as you were talking, I just started thinking about the same thing. I was like, that's the amazing thing, like about, I don't know if you're into the kind of whole butterfly effect, all that kind of stuff, but like things meant to be and all that kind of stuff, like fate. But it's true, man. That was the biggest positive that came out of it, was like I mentioned before, was I had time on my side for the first time, because going like down the rat race every day, waking up, same routine, and you're gonna come, you know, even people right now listening, or people like out there, they're always like, all right, after work, I'm going gym. And then they go work and then it's like, oh, I've had a bit of a crappy day. Like I'm a bit tired, I'm hungry. Maybe I'll leave the gym for tomorrow. Like you get in these kind of cycles where the things you don't enjoy like take over. And that's what work was doing. So as soon as I had that free time and I kind of got myself into check, like I got myself into action, like it became a drug to me, like where I was like, okay, I want to learn how to do this video editing. I was lucky, man. I was lucky because work allowed me to have these couple of months off. And in that couple of months, like I got my brain in check, man. I actually had so much time to fix up, and then I went back to worked for a year, and then I quit. So it's kind of like,
so you can almost see that, like that injury, like that trauma, that like bad thing that when it happened, right, it sucked. You're like, man, I'm on the couch for 3 months. Looking back on it now with perspective, you're like, that was actually one of the biggest blessings of my life because it allowed me to transition to the next phase of my life, which I am like greater for now, right?
Yeah. And I think with you as well, bro, like it's like you're injured now. I imagine your type of character as well. Like when you come back, you've come back from a major injury. And like some of the people that you may compete with or some people haven't had these past traumas or haven't had these things that have to overcome and obstacles. And mentally, they're going to be nowhere near as strong as you are, especially if you come back from something like that. Yeah.
Stuff like that sucks, but it makes you so like a better person. Anytime in life where I deal with stuff that's rough, right? In the moment, it's like, man, this is the worst. But then perspective wise later, I'm like, if you ask me now, right, like if you could go back and take away all these problems, would you? I say no, because I wouldn't be the same person that I am today, right? Like the same question I could ask you, like if you could not have these hip problems and have had these surgeries, would you take it away? I'm assuming you'd say no, because then you probably wouldn't have the brand you have now today. No,
100%. And also like it's one of those things like where when you mentioned perspective, man, like there's so many benefits. I say benefits, but there's so many good things that you can see from a bad situation. It kind of changes your character and your personality a little bit. I don't know what your thoughts are, but like I've always been a positive person. I've always been a kind of like the glass is kind of half full kind of guy, and like that just emphasized that whole bit of my character. But I can imagine that it'll be obviously much more harder for someone who's a little bit less optimistic, someone who sees a lot of negative in life. Like those sort of situations, I don't know how they can find the perspective, but like I think for someone who's already optimistic and stuff, it only just enhances things even more. But yeah,
no, absolutely. So I think another thing we have in common is I hear you talk a lot about community, right? And kind of that's like your mission statement. That's what you stand for. For me, honestly, that's been one of the biggest things part of my life too. The reason that I have done ninja for so long and been in love with the sport for as long as I am was because of the community, right? The community for me was like the biggest thing. Like I didn't go back to the ninja gym when I was like from like, let's say like 12 to 19. Like I went there, like I was there every day. If the community sucked and the people that weren't there, then I wouldn't have become the athlete that I am today. Cause I went there for the community, and becoming the athlete that I am today was a kind of a byproduct of that. And that's something that I try to recreate in anything that I do. So, working on different side projects where the biggest number one thing for me is building the right community. And same thing with the podcast. I'm trying to build an audience, like a community, a place where people feel like they can kind of have a place to rest and be together and, do life together in essence. And so the place for that, I don't think have I plugged the Patreon yet, Rock? Oh, so the place for that is I started a Patreon, where we kind of interact with the fans a little more deeply. So if you're listening to this now, I don't think I've done all the intro stuff yet. I kind of forgot, but we have video episodes now. If you're wanting to check out these video episodes, we have the full episodes on Patreon. That's patreon.com/kindanice. And just recently, we're going to start launching the full video episodes on YouTube, but they're going to be like very delayed. So you're going to start to get like 10 episodes back. We're going to start releasing the videos so that the Patreons keep getting the videos at like a lot earlier. So it's like earlier content, but eventually you will be able to see these videos, but a lot later. So if you want to see the videos now, go to patreon.com and check it out. We have a bunch of content for you guys. We do Zoom meetings and stuff. But yeah, so did that. Community. So yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about like your mission statement, community, and like building that? Like, how has that been for you, and like how has that kept you kind of pushing to make that brand?
Well, I think I honestly like. Again, it sounds super cliche, man, but this brand wouldn't be nothing without the community behind it, man. Like the community behind Rush Athletics is literally the foundation to how I think now even skipping as a whole is becoming a movement, because there are other brands doing really good things as well in the kind of space. You've got good brands in America, you got good brands in Europe, and you got good brands building now in the Philippines and all over around the world. And that's what I kind of love, is that we built this community and it's unlike many of the other ones you see across the world. Like it's so positive. It's one of those ones where like a lot of people come together. We do meetups. You hear people's stories, and it's different characters, man. It's just different characters coming together for the same sort of mission, which is we're just trying to promote skipping. We're trying to get more and more people fit and healthy, enjoying their cardio. And I think when you get a bunch of humans who come from different walks of life, different backgrounds with that same kind of vision, that same kind of mission. It's kind of mental. And like I said to you before, the first launch for the speed rope, I bought these ropes in and I thought to myself, like, there's no way I'm going to like get these sold like anytime soon. And it was just, that community came flooding in first launch. And that's when I started to realize like how important it was to keep nurturing this community, keep pushing them along. And we do meetups. We do so many things around the world. We've done like worldwide meetups as well. Obviously, because of COVID and pandemic and things like that, we haven't been able to do as much as we wanted to in the last few years. But I feel like my goal is never really like anything monetary. Again, it sounds like I'm kind of gassing and talking rubbish. Like most entrepreneurs probably want to say this, and motivational speakers all this, like say the same thing, I guess. But I'm really honest about it, man. Like, as in, I never started the brand to make money. So that's why it's always been the same vision for me, which is just to get more and more people up and about around the world. And I hear so many crazy stories, bro. You probably hear as well, like how much your work has kind of impacted people's lives, got them up and about, doing crazy stuff as well. And that's just what I hear every single day, man. Every single day on my DMs, messages, emails, like comments. Like, it's phenomenal how much positivity there is based around Rush Athletics, but more importantly, just like skipping. And it's just so wild to even think like a small piece of plastic could have so much power. And I think it just kind of like goes to show like how powerful humans can be when they kind of come together.
Yeah, no, I mean, you hit it like pretty much. That's everything that like I aspire to try to create with the things that I'm making. And I think you're a lot further in your process than I am along, right? But it's amazing that you've been able to do this with, again, just jump roping, because it's such a simple thing, right? But you've created like such interest in it and such a unique like brand around it. One thing one thing from the go on. No, you're good. Go ahead.
No. So I was just going to say something. One thing from like the sort of business point of view as well. Like, if any of your listeners are kind of like thinking from the entrepreneurial side, I was lucky because, you know, I had this passion. I started it and creating content. It's free content and built up a community. And then I had then something to sell to this community that I built up. And I know most entrepreneurs try and do it the reverse in today's world. Like, they try and find like a kind of cheaper product here from like Asia or something like that, or clothing brand. And then they try and find an audience to sell it to, right? Like, that's the kind of like other way of doing it. Like, this is like the long game. So anyone listening and yourself, like you said about the journey where you're on, it's just the long game, but I feel like it's the stronger game, which is just take a bit of time to build a very strong following, a very loyal following. And even if it's like 5,000 or 1,000, if you got like a good solid base, like, you don't need millions of people to keep coming back and buying your product or supporting your projects and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, my goal was always just to get 1,000 loyal supporters. Like, it's just a number that I came up in my head. But if I had 1,000 loyal supporters, like every launch, every year, if I did 3 or 4 launches a year, like that would just be enough to keep me being able to create the content that I create. So you don't need to be in the thousands and millions of followers, like to have a good brand or a business.
No, yeah, that's a great point. A quick, so you talked a little about how Mayweather was like the reason that you started the jump roping and then the brand, and I'm sure you called it the money rope because of him, right?
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know what the time frame was on this, but eventually a video surfaced of him actually using the ropes that you created, right?
Yeah, I think it was 2019. So 4 years, and it was nearly to the day. It was like 4 years to the day that I kind of started the brand. So it was, 2019. What was he doing then? I can't remember what he was doing then. Probably fighting some YouTuber or something. But he was he was back at the gym, and actually he created this brand. I don't know if you guys had that franchise there, but it's called Mayweather Fitness. So it was like he's got like a fitness gym franchise thing going on in LA. And by luck or by, I don't know, God or something, some higher power, but like I had some followers in that gym, and like a personal trainer too with Mayweather was like following my stuff, and he picked up a few ropes, and I remember I was in the kitchen eating some food, and I got this message, a DM, and it was this personal trainer who I hadn't even had that much interaction with. I remember him following me. I followed him back, and he used to post a few skipping videos, but he just messaged me and said, "Dude, I've got the money man using your rope," and like that was it. I kind of went, oh, what the hell? Like, it can't be right. He's like, "I got a video coming up soon, but you can't post it. You can't post it because he has to post it first or something. He has to put it on his stories or something." I said, "Dude, man, I'll do whatever you guys say, man. Just send me that video, man." And he sent it. And yeah, man, he's just there. It was him with, again, his first video was with a yellow rope, and it was what kind of inspired me to put my first rope out as a yellow rope. And yeah, man, lo and behold, man, like the guy was skipping with my rope, and it was like this crazy kind of 360 feeling for me. Like
whenever I tell the story, yeah, like full circle. That's like amazing.
Full circle of life, man. It was like the guy who kind of got me into skipping, the guy who inspired me, and then got me to create content around it in the hope that some people will pick it up, some people kind of get going with it. Then he kind of like picks up the rope, and yeah, man, it wasn't like a collab or anything like that. He didn't tag me or anything like that, but yeah, man, the sales were pretty crazy after that video surfaced.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. No, that's awesome. I mean, that really is like a super inspiring story. Like you start here, you're just watching a video, you're inspired by this guy, and then you create a brand, create a rope, and then the guy that inspired you is using your product. Like I don't think it can get any better than that, really.
Pretty sick, man. And I went to Vegas like a few years ago. We had a meet up in California, and like I was just in the area, and happened to go to Vegas because I really wanted to go to Mayweather boxing gym in Vegas.
Yeah.
And that was a surreal experience for me as well, because all the videos I used to kind of like observe and kind of watch and investigate like every little movement he was making and dissect everything. Like they were in that gym. So like every video of his training, like I was just had it on repeat, like, and then I stepped into that gym and I don't know how many of your listeners or even yourself, if you've ever been there, like it's the most sickest place, man. You just walk in and you can just walk straight through into like the training area. Like they don't ask for anything. No, they don't stop you. They don't like prevent anyone walking in. Like it's just, you just walk in and you can just like take in the atmosphere. Then I had a few people like, when I started skipping, a lot of people were like, yo, dude, you box? And I was like, nah. They're like, come, let's spar. And I was like, nah, I like that, man. But it was just a gym full of like really good vibes. Obviously Mayweather wasn't there, but that was a really amazing experience as well, just to kind of be in the same spots that he used to kind of like do his thing. And you can imagine all the camera and all the media frenzy when they used to kind of get together and just record him. Pretty sick.
Yeah, that's actually funny because when I jump rope too, and like in areas where people don't know me, like a lot of people think I'm a boxer. And I love boxing. I'm a big fan of it, but I'm not a boxer by any means.
I think that's the kind of common thing over the years, though, isn't it? Like if you're a good skipper, you must be a boxer. Or, yeah, basically, I get that a lot, man. I get that a lot. Or some people even say to me, man, like jumping ropes for girls, man. Like I don't need to learn this, and then they see me like move, and then they're just like, yo, actually, this is kind of cool. And that's a nice thing, man. That's a nice feeling is when people actually around the world when they post their videos and tag me, like, and I can see that they've obviously like watched my videos probably just as carefully as I watch Mayweather's videos, because on all the moves and combinations and stuff I've built on top of his moves, I kind of created a kind of style, I would say. So that's kind of cool as well. It's like maybe I don't want to do any kind of this like disjustice to kind of martial arts lovers, but like it's kind of like we created a new kind of martial art, or kind of like an art form where like now skipping isn't just kind of like the basic jump or like the kind of awkward looking techniques. It's like now it's like really crazy stuff, man. Like people are doing mad stuff out there.
For sure. How's the I see that you're like creating like an HQ. Is that like a gym or what? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, man. So my current space at the moment here is like it's kind of like an extension to a property. So it's my mom and dad's property actually. So there was an extension that was done, and initially it was just like a kind of place where I'd train people with their one-to-ones and have a little man cave for myself. But we created a space here. I literally just done it up like a year ago during COVID. I made this place a little bit more neater, fancier. I used to work out of here and it used to be super messy, and you know, I wanted a production facility. I wanted to have branding. So we did that. And for the last year, it's been so crazy, the growth of the business, that I'm kind of outgrowing it here. So now we're going from this space into like a kind of 5,000 square foot kind of like facility where it'll be 2 floors just around in the area here. And it's going to be kind of like a base. It's going to be hopefully like the first official kind of home of like a jump rope fitness kind of company. And it will like hopefully propel me from becoming that, like just come and take me out from the kind of bedroom brand kind of like I guess title. It'll make me feel, yeah, because I mean, and I kind of like that. I kind of like the fact that people know, like I share stuff on my stories where I'm chilling here, I'm doing the packaging, and people message me and they're like, yo, dude, like, why are you packaging orders still? Like, employ someone. And sometimes, I mean, we have staff and stuff, but I kind of like to get involved in the stuff that I first started with. Like, I love seeing the countries where people buy shit from. And the new place though is going to be out of this world. Like, we're going to have a shop front so people can come and actually shop from there. There's going to be like a testing zone. There's going to be obviously the warehouse space. Upstairs is going to be a full production facility, podcast studio, customer service. Like it's going to have everything, man. We're going to put a golf simulator in there just to have a bit of fun for the late nights. So yeah, man, it's going to be super. Yeah, it's going to be super cool.
My like producer is like behind the cameras and all that stuff. He's a big golfer. He's actually an accountant too. So you guys got a lot in common.
Nah, I love golf, man. Right now, golf is like getting like super addictive, and I'm getting obsessed over golf right now. So I'm getting the same vibes like I did with skipping, with the focus and stuff. So it's like the fact that like social media is like my brand now. Like everything kind of flows through social media. I don't really do paid advertising on paid YouTube ads and a lot of that stuff. So like it's been a blessing, social media, but at the same time, it's been like I don't want to say curse, but it's one of those things where I just need to get away from sometimes as well, because
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean, right? So like golf has become this thing now that like I go on a golf course, I spend 4 hours, 5 hours with my mates, no phones come out. Like I don't need to worry about Instagram. I don't need to worry about like things, and de-stress, man. I'm just get in the zone with it. Love it.
Yeah. No, everybody needs that. I would love for golf to be that for me, but I'm not good enough to where it's any fun for me right now. I need to get like decent to where I can actually like hit a ball where I want it to go.
That's a solid sport, man. That's a hard sport, man. Difficult
golf. Seems like every like almost I've seen so many like professional athletes that are like a really high level golf, like Anthony Joshua golfs, I think Canelo golfs, like a bunch of these like top athletes also golf because it's such a
like Jordan loves golfing, like a lot of the basketballers love golfing, like footballers.
Yeah, all these top guys. Yeah. No,
I think it's one of those things though, man. It is super addictive, man. Like once you could play like 17 holes, 17 and a half holes, and you'd be absolutely crap. And then that last shot before you go home is like this purest feeling. And like you think you're Tiger Woods, and then it will make you come back the next day. Like, and yeah, it's just one of those weird things. Really weird sport. You can be amazing one day, next day you come back, you're just back to square one. Like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love any sport that you feel that passion for is amazing. Like for me, that's volleyball right now, and I think golf eventually will become a bigger part. Like if I get a little older, and I feel like when you become older, golf becomes like a little more interesting. But I'm still a little young, 23. So
yeah,
I'm gonna give golf a little, put it on the back burners for now. But I think eventually I will be playing golf. Because it's also really good for business too. Like you make a lot of great connections playing golf. Because I mean, a lot of people who do like great things play golf. So it's a great way to meet people.
Definitely.
What else do I have down here? Butterfly. Do you have any questions for me at all?
Different, man. I mean, you're the only guy that I have any knowledge about ninja, right? So the ninja was big here in the UK, and I have loads of friends, and I tell them about you. I'm like, I know some guy on ninja, in America. But like, how did you even get into something like ninja? And how do you even train for that thing?
So for me, it was very like random. I kind of started, you know what parkour is, like free running?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I started with that. That's what I wanted to do because I didn't like individual sports as a kid. So I started doing that and teaching myself, and kind of like how I learned jump roping. I just looked at YouTube videos and was teaching myself free running and parkour. And I reached a point where like I couldn't really learn more by myself. So I was looking for a gym, and I found a gym called Iron Sports in Houston that wasn't a parkour gym, but it was kind of close. It was an obstacle gym. So it was like Ninja Warrior stuff. It was like obstacles and just random stuff. And I stumbled in this gym, and I was like, hey, do you guys do parkour? And they're like, nah, but we got like Ninja Warrior. And I was just like, okay, like it's close enough. I'll try it. And I was like 12 or 13, and I'm 23 now, and I still kind of go there. So I kind of just got good at it because, again, like the community there was amazing back in the day. So I just kept going back, and by default, because I was there so often, I got really good at it, right? Because I kind of did it at an age too. If you start something when you're like 12 or 13 and grow into it, your like brain is more absorbent to learning things definitely. At that time. So it kind of just got engraved in me.
It's a good age to start anything, man. It's like, yeah.
But it's also never too late, right? Like if you want to start getting anything now, like new, right? Like I just picked up kind of trying to get really good at volleyball or golf or anything you want to get into. I don't think it's ever too late to like do anything new. But yeah, I mean, I don't know about this is like a more interesting question, but do you ever like with jumping rope, right? Have you ever gotten to a place where you feel a little bored with it now because you feel like there's not much more to learn, or are you still innovating and trying to learn new things?
Good question, man. I get a lot of people actually saying this, like asking me this, because I think they get to that same point sometimes where they just like, they reach a little plateau. Like, where do they go? They've learned most of the moves I've shown online. But honestly, to me, man, like it never feels like work. Like, as in, when I go to the gym, I'm actually still just trying to perfect the stuff I've learned over the last 7 years. Like, I still love enjoying trying to make something a little bit more better, a little bit more neater, like a little combination here and there.
Yeah,
like,
cleaning it up.
And clean it up. And it's just naturally like my incentive is actually to improve and to create new ways of doing things. Obviously, having the brand and being known as this kind of one of the founding fathers of the jump rope movement kind of thing. Like, it's kind of my job as well to kind of provide new stuff. So I don't know how much you've seen on my YouTube, but like, that's why we do these kind of like epic kind of trailers, these movie style grade kind of videos.
Yeah, he'll be like in a full suit in like just downtown London, just like skipping in the middle of the road, and like, yeah, it's super cool stuff.
Yeah, so I mean that's the thing that keeps you motivated, because it's not as such kind of learning new moves. It's kind of like learning how to make like this kind of art form, like I like to call it. How can we get it out to more people around the world? So I'm actually, it's like I'm learning a new skill within skipping when it's not actually skipping. It's just like how the guys back in the day just kind of made Kung Fu famous, or how they made like this style of genre film famous. Like there was someone or some people that had to do new and innovative things within, and now we've got social media. It's like, how do we use these tools that we've got? Like, and I'm thinking about doing now a commercial. I've got athletes around the world now. I'm thinking of ideas of how to include these athletes in their countries. Like, how can we spread more awareness, man? So that's where a lot of my energy and time goes into. When it comes to kind of skipping itself, man, I never get bored of it, man. Like when I pick up a rope, like there's always someone that's going to come and talk to me in the gym. Like, there's always something interesting for them to say to me, or like create a conversation, make new friends. So I never kind of go there with any kind of like, oh no, what am I going to do today? Like, I kind of know everything. Or I still get slapped up, man. Trust me. I'm proud to say it, man. Like, no one can actually, everything that people post online as well, by the way, like if you get into this community, there's always really good, obviously great videos where people are looking unbelievable, but let's not get it twisted, man. Everyone trips up. And I know this.
Yeah, no, it's their highlight reels, man. They're only showing the good stuff. Trust me, I do the same stuff. I don't post videos of me sucking, like slapping myself with the rope. No one likes to post those videos. Yeah. No. I had a challenge. I had a community challenge recently, I think last year, where I actually just told people to just message or to send me videos of them like messing up. And I made like a massive edit of it. I don't know if I put that one on YouTube, but we had so many people get involved in that. So I do these like kind of random challenges here and there, which is cool. Like, and usually it's like showing off people's skills, like in their city or behind or in front of like a landmark. But this time I was like, listen, I just send me a video where you're just getting slapped or like something silly. And it was good. It actually made people like realize that, you know what, like everyone is in the same boat. Like there's so many gurus out there, so many teachers out there now. And like the whole notion of a skipping coach is like quite a common thing in our community. Like there's loads of coaches out there giving loads of good advice. So it's nice to see that everyone is actually in the same boat and trying to learn and get better, man. Yeah. Have you gotten into the one thing I never learned, and I never even really tried to learn? I tried it once and I was like, this is dumb, I'm not going to get it, is like catch and release, like letting go of one side and just like flipping around and catching it. Because I can't do that to save my life.
I tried it, but only because I did a shoot. So we were releasing a freestyle rope, which the freestyle rope is like a longer handle rope, and it's like made for these kind of like release and catch kind of specialists. They usually use a longer handle, not all of them, but like mainly do. And so when we released this rope, I was like, it was only for people who wanted to get involved in it. It wasn't because I personally used that rope. So when it came to promotion, obviously I did my little bits with it, but it was not the same. So I was like saying to my videographer at the time, I was like, I think we need to fly to Germany because there's one girl that I need to meet. And she's the only person that I want to use for the promotion because she's unbelievable. So she's like one of the kind of like world champions over the years or something. And we met her and she was phenomenal. We did a massive shoot around it. But that was the only time because we did a YouTube video that day. And I was like, okay, look, why don't you teach me some of these moves? And just for a laugh, like I'll put it on my video, on my page, and like people can have a laugh because I knew I'd be crap at it. So that was the only time I tried it, but it's not my style, man. It's like, I'm kind of from the boxing, the Mayweather style and kind of like combinations. And I like the feeling of the handles in my hands. Like for me to throw a rope, it kind of just feels like I'm not really kind of getting the workout I need. And also I hate dropping a rope. I don't like disrespecting my rope. So like I would never do the release for the same reason why most people, when they show it online, you've probably seen them online, they will show clean catches, they'll show clean combinations, but they will drop the rope like most of the time as well behind the scenes. So.
Like smoking the rope. I've cracked a couple ropes like trying, like just just smoking it and it just breaks. Listen, dang it.
I'll have to. Yeah, what we've done is we've created like a grip now. I've redevised the sort of speed rope. So the original money rope that I sent you, there's like a new version of it. I'm not sure if I sent you that one, by the way, but I have to get that one out to you. So that's the money rope 2.0 or 2.0. So I created like this.
Are you talking about the very new one that you just launched?
The latest speed rope, yeah.
Yeah, I think I tried to buy it, but it was sold out everywhere. I was just like, oh, cool, I'll buy one of his new ropes. And it was just sold out everywhere. And I was like, I can't even get it if I want it.
Yeah, I've got a few lying around, man. But like, yeah, they've been sold out for about 4 or 5 months now because I'm trying to get.
I'm going to get it straight from the source, though. I'm good.
Nah. Yeah, so that handle we made specially because so many, like I said, man, there's all these little genres, little styles kind of growing around skipping. And hopefully your listeners haven't got bored today, man. But it's like the most weirdest thing probably talking about a jump rope community, but it's out there. And like, and that's the thing, man. Like the following that I've gained, like we're talking like what? Luckily, like 500,000 now across all the kind of social media platforms that I've got. Like within that 500,000, like there's other brands out there that are doing the same sort of thing. And so like this thing is kind of like growing on the kind of underbelly of the fitness world, and it's kind of getting out of control. And so many people are bringing out new styles. So. We had to kind of innovate. Like you said, like the first speed rope, money rope that I brought out was a simple boxing speed rope, really good vinyl. But when people started releasing that, they were cracking handles, like you say, like it wasn't made for that. So we got to kind of change with the times and now build stronger and more robust ropes, but make sure it stays light and ergonomic. There's all this kind of technical stuff, which I'm learning as well. So it's cool.
No, yeah. I mean, yeah, it sounds super simple, but like you have to make like certain things to like have a good rope. Like you can't just throw like a piece of rope and random handles on it because it just won't feel right. I think like one of the biggest things is like the cap where like the nylon goes into the thing. I've snagged. I think I've like after like a year or two, like I think I've popped ear ropes, but like regular ropes that I buy from Academy, I'll smoke them in like a couple months. Like they'll just kind of pop because of the rubbing the nylon and the plastic over and over again. Like eventually they snap off. But yours have lasted like a lot longer. But that's one thing that if you don't smooth out those edges, like just a bunch of little things, right? That anything like that, because you've taken so much time to, in detail, make sure that every little thing, because you're passionate about it, right? So you're going to make sure that every little detail about these ropes are amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. Man. Outside of jumping rope, like what's your like day to day? Like you said you play golf. Is there anything else we don't know?
So golf is the main thing, man. Not gonna lie, like it takes up a lot of my time, thinking time. But honestly, like I just love to go to the gym, love to train.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, that involves skipping as well. But like I do a bit of lifting. Try make the gains. Not doing a good job, but I try. Yeah, I love spending time in the gym, man. But yeah, man, it's regular. Man. Honestly, like I think when you become an entrepreneur, like it kind of like life kind of infuses, like there's not really like work and then what's your pastime or hobby. That's why I like to say golf is like my actual thing that gets me away from the entrepreneurial life. But otherwise it's like, again, another cliche line coming up, bro. Like, but it's 24/7. Like you're switched on. Like when I'm awake, like, there's something going on. There's a fire to put out. I got a message. This supplier, this fair. Is delayed, this, and it kind of just, it takes over, but that's the beauty of what I do is that luckily for me, it's like, it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like life. And it's just amazing to think that
that's how it should be, man. Honestly, that's really, I think a lot of people look for that.
At the end of the day, at the end of the day, like I think you mentioned the term influence, and it's like kind of like it's like a strange word here. I don't know how it sounds in the US, but over here, there's some people like that don't really understand the term influencer here. Like it kind of blends in with kind of like hot looking chicks who try and sell you like a Louis Vuitton bag. Like people think that's an influencer. But I think you're right in the way I like to be considered like someone who does influence for the better. And I feel like in my everyday life, when I'm sort of on my phone or whoever I'm with, my friends and family, like I just try and share what I've done because it took a lot of time. It took a long time, but like it's doable. It's doable if you just kind of put in a little bit of hard graft, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that's like the the like the dream people pitch to you when you're a kid and you're growing up and you're going through school is trash, right? It's always like, you know, kind of go through school, and maybe it is good for some people, but for me, I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do. But it's kind of like go to school, then go to uni, like graduate, get like a 9 to 5 job, and then work till you're 60, and then retire, and then what, right? But I think life can be so much more, and that's, I mean, one of the things I'm grateful for is the fact that I'm allowed to live the life that I do, to where I can pursue these different opportunities, and I don't have to. I'm not forced to work a 9 to 5 job, because I'm able to, you know, do all these different things and try these different ventures, and, you know, if stuff doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I think a lot of people don't get to live that way, and I'm super blessed to be able to do it. Right.
100%, man. I think also, like, it's one of those things, like having a 9 to 5 and all that, is like people enjoy the 9 to 5. People enjoy routine. They enjoy, like, obviously if they've studied and then into a job like what they studied, like, it's beautiful. Like, I think it's where our work comes into play, like, is really for those who are kind of lost. Like, they do have the skills, they do have the talents, but they're just not sure how to really express it. They don't know where to start.
They feel like there's like something else out there, but they're just like they don't know how to.
Exactly. And they can't unlock that potential, or they daydream every day, like, and they're just thinking, all right, what if I did this? What if I did that? So it's one of those things, man. It's hard. I think it's like you know, if you've got a stable job, if you've got the security, it's hard to kind of break out that cycle. But if you start a little side hobby, a little passion project, like, I don't know, do the things that you actually love, see where it can go. Exactly.
Do you want to talk a little bit about you? So you launched a podcast. You have 4 episodes out, I think. It's
oh man,
it's called Born to Fly, right?
Yeah.
No, actually, I watched your first episode with I forgot his name. The guy who makes the commercials with the athletes, the choreographer. It's a really cool concept. Like, you're in the car, and then it seems like you have really good guests. Like, it seems like you're able to get, you know, some great talent out there. But so to tell you, my viewers, a little bit, if they want to check out your podcast, or I think you said you're going to be making a podcast studio, you'll be coming out with more. So kind of what's that all about?
Yeah, man. So hopefully get more consistent, man. Be like you.
I don't know about that. I try to be. I miss a couple of weeks here and there.
No, I mean, the dream was to kind of, get people. It was outside of, it's called Born to Fly, which is obviously like kind of related to a bit of how I love to talk about skipping. But Born to Fly was just a concept that is just talking to guests, or having guests that are just doing something a little bit out of the ordinary, a little bit different, and sharing their stories, how they got to where they got to. And yeah, that's the concept of that. And it was meant to be kind of in a car. Like, so I don't know if you saw the visual one, or did you listen to it? But like, basically,
no, I watched it.
I bought. Yeah, I especially bought a kind of Tesla. Like, I went out and I bought my dream car, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be my podcast studio. And the first episode, it was good.
You're smart too, because you're an accountant, so that's like a business expense for you, right?
you know it, bro. You know it, man. help me with the taxes a little bit here and there. But yeah, I mean, I'm not even a car guy, but for that, cars are flipping. It's something different. But yeah, man, we had a few teething problems with like audio and how to set up the mics and stuff. But like, yeah, the podcast is cool, man. Like, it's going to hopefully in future have a mixture of skipping guests, and I've got contacts now. Luckily, I'm blessed, like through my nature of my work, like, I talk to, and I have people from all over the world, like different types of, like, again, genres, like using my rope. So I've got like actors, I've got athletes, of course. So I've got like kind of like the usual kind of fitness guys in the social media space. I've got models. So like just different people. So like I've got such a good kind of like base of people to kind of get on the show. So hopefully get more consistent and get that done this year.
Absolutely, yeah. And so where can people find you? What's your Instagram, your YouTube, all that stuff?
So all the good stuff, man. It's just Rush_athletics on Instagram, and if you just Google Rush Athletics, you'll find the YouTube. And
yes, sir.
Yeah, it's man. I don't know. It's been a pleasure, bro. I gotta say, man. Like, I was quite surprised when you asked me to come on, because I know your community is
for sure, man.
Probably a little bit different to the skipping community, but hopefully they enjoyed this one.
No, I'm all about, you know, bringing people's stories from different. I think your story is like amazing, and it's inspiring, and people can learn something from it. So I wanted to get you on. You know, it gets boring to only get the same kind of people on over and over again. So, you know, with the podcast, if I want to be able to get, you know, new guests and people that can bring a different perspective from different things, because I think that's the only way to learn, right? Just talk to different people, and that's like one of the best things about having a podcast is being able to make connections with people that like I usually wouldn't. Because honestly, if I didn't have a podcast, like we would have never like sat and talked like this, unless maybe I was in the UK.
Yeah,
I'm gonna do the shout out of the week real quick. If you guys want to be the shout out of the week, all you got to do is go to the iTunes platform, and check out the podcast on Apple Podcast, and give us a 5-star rating, and then you have to write down an actual review or I won't see it, because we have a bunch of reviews, but some of them aren't, they're not written down, so I can't read them. But so shout out to, oh my God, this name is, Slither Savage #1. He writes, obsessed. I've always been a fan of both Kid and Daniel for so long. I watch their A&W runs all the time, and this podcast really cheers me up. I love A&W, Kid and Daniel. Thanks, Slither Savage. I don't know why I can't say that. #1. Once again, guys, check out Rush. He's got some great content. If you want to, pick up jumping rope, or you want to get inspired, go check out his YouTube channel, his Instagram, all that good stuff. Buy yourself a jump rope. Check out the Patreons, patreon.com/kindanice. You can check out the full video episode of me and Rush talking, and we got a bunch of 20 other episodes of video there. Check out the YouTube channel now. If you're listening to this and you haven't been a part of the Patreon and you want to check out some of the videos, you can go to YouTube now, and I'm going to start releasing some older videos. So slowly, weekly, you'll get access to the video content of a couple months back. This has been the Kinda Nice podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
I'm kinda nice with the gear, yeah. Shout out my area code. I'm feeling nice with the drill. And I'm about to bury the flow. I'm about to make me a meal.